Hope everybody's doing well today. This is Chris Teal with the Institute for Creative Music. And we're going to get into a little bit more musical context right now. Hopefully you've had a chance to check out some of these warm-up videos. Now we're going to put things into a little bit more of, a real-world situation. We're playing grooves, and then we're transitioning from playing a groove to playing a fill. So that is a common place where, a lot of drummers either speed up or slow down or have a little bit of a hiccup in the time. So we're going to work on that a little bit together. Common phrases in pop, rock, jazz, blues, all kinds of stuff are usually unfolding from 4-bar chunks. And so we're going to focus on doing some 4-bar phrases right now. So first off, what I want us to do, we're just going to play start off with our pretty typical money beat, and then I'm going to do a little bit of a variation. Let's just play some grooves together, all right? So copy what I'm doing. Listen especially for my bass drum. That's the part that's going to change a little bit, all right? Listen and then join in. 1, 2, 3, and... So I just played 3 grooves that are very, very common, not only to hear, but also to play as a drummer. And the only thing that changed was what was going on with the bass drum. First, I was just playing what and a lot of people call the money beat. Just 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Bass drum on 1 and 3. Snare drum on 2, 3, 4. The second variation, I just doubled up, every other bass drum hit. All right, that's very common as well. And on the last one, I played 1 and 2 and 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. So hopefully that was, made enough sense to follow along with. What we want to get more and more comfortable doing is speaking with the bass drum, as an interdependent limb that starts to, make its own melodies, but not changing or disrupting what's going on in our hands. That's a tricky thing. That can be a transition, going from one groove to another, and that happens very often in songs playing, from a section like a verse to something like the chorus. The bass drum part might change. Your right hand might change from being on the hi-hat to being on the ride cymbal. There are a lot of subtle variations, and we want to keep the time really, really solid. All right, so let's try a few more. I'm probably going to use a lot of those same sort of grooves. See if you can follow along. Your ear might, take a measure to get it, but try to jump right on the train as soon as it changes tracks. All right, here we go. Follow along. I'm going to start with the 1, 2, and 3 beat. All right, 1, 2, ready, 4-bar phrases. I'm going to stop right there just to check that out. Some of you might have had a little bit of a hiccup as we went into that. It's one of the tricky next steps to working on bass drum coordination. So I start off, my bass drum is playing on beat 1, but then it goes 1, 2, and 4, 1, 2, and 4. Try to play it slower. 2, ready, and. So the trick there is not to have your snare drum go along with that limb or do anything funky with your hi-hat. That should be nice and steady. Yep. It's just moving along, working together with that bass drum. And that just takes a lot of practice. You know, at first there's going to be hiccups, there's going to be stumbles, but don't worry, slow it down or just work on, you know, 2 limbs out of the 3. Just so you can always leave parts out like that. Okay. So we have a couple different grooves going on, but now I want us to, you know, add it into another type of musical context where we're playing a fill in the 4th bar of the phrase. This is, again, very, very common. All right, so listen to what this might sound like. I'm going to use that same groove because that's something we're working on. If you want to try, you know, the money beat or something that's a little bit easier when we do this together, that's totally fine too. All right, 3 bars of that groove, and then I'm going to play a fill. Listen to what that sounds like. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and I always went back to that same groove for 3 bars and then improvised a different fill based off of, you know, some ideas and phrases that I know in the 4th bar. All right, I would like you to try that. You're going to make up your own fill. You can come up with anything that stays within those 4 beats, and we're going to try to keep it simple. This is the name of the game. If the flow of the time gets disrupted, then, you know, it's probably better not playing a fill. But we want to start off playing fills that are simple enough and develop into something that, you know, we can say more and more detailed ideas when we get to that point. So let's both play those three bars of groove together, and then I'm going to have you play the fill in the 4th bar. All right? 1, 2, ready, and... What I would like us to do now, hopefully that was getting more and more comfortable as you did it. I want you to play a fill and then play the same fill every time. So repeating yourself doesn't necessarily mean that the fill gets boring. It should have more conviction, it should get stronger, it should get more clear. So I want you maybe think of a fill a little bit ahead of time, or you might improvise it on the spot. But the second time we get through, I want you to try to play that same fill. The 3rd time we try to go through, I want you to play the same fill a little bit stronger. And the 4th time, I want it to be the strongest yet. So we're improvising and we're solidifying our language. So 3 bars of groove, 1 bar fill. We're going to do the whole sequence 4 times. All right, here we go. 1, 2, groove first. Same fill, yep. So how did that go? Were we able to come up with something that stayed 4 bars? Were we able to then play it and copy it the next 3 times? So that's a goal to have for improvising. So that means not necessarily just like making up something that has never been played before, but coming up with something that uses some things you know how to do, maybe try some things that you don't know how to do, and then by repeating it, you get stronger and stronger, solidifying your vocabulary, solidifying your ability to have this sort of conversation, with me, with another drummer, or with the other musicians you're playing with. All right, so we're going to leave it there for today, but I want you to think about practicing and playing your own fills and making them, your own. That comes from repetition. That comes from doing it at a lot of different tempos, a lot of different volumes and dynamics, and we're going to touch on that in some more lessons. All right, happy practicing.